think it's going to be an extension of Deutsche Bank action in Europe or J.P. Morgan action in the United States. I don't think any trigger is going to come from Canada. They're too much a tail on the U.S. dog.
It does appear to be a setup. I mean, a massive orchestration to let these banks implode.
Furthermore, we're about to get a repeat of the LEHMAN event. If you look at all the different metrics, all the different data summaries, you see we're at worse leverage, we're at worse debt, we're at worse insolvency, we're at lower economic activity, which means that we can support less debt through legitimate activity, can't service the debt, smaller economic base. We're worse off than we were at LEHMAN in 2008. We haven't fixed anything. We had no attempt to fix anything. We've had obstacles for all reform. We've kept all the big banks going, and they're now even more casinos and even less commercial credit or investment banking in their function. We're moving toward, well, a systemic LEHMAN moment. They've spread around all their major derivative risk to several of the big banks, so that if anyone is in trouble, they all kind of struggle and lean a bit into the wind and help out, say, Societe Generale in France. But now you got Wells Fargo announcing they've got multiple billions of energy loans that are suspect, and Wells Fargo has been violating the Fed's little, what's the word, advice, suggestion. Wells Fargo is not going along with this movement of, well, you know, don't mark to market, let's give them more time. Wells Fargo is saying, no, we got a big portfolio that's in trouble.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, Wells Fargo is probably the biggest of the, how should I call it, the banks that Chinese do business with.
Okay.
So if they're going to continue to do a lot of business with Wells Fargo, they might force it not to play along so much with the Fed and the crooked guys in New York.
Interesting.
Wells Fargo is unique. Wells Fargo has another uniqueness in that the Chinese have used Wells Fargo to deposit multiple billions of dollars in treasury bonds, and with that high quality collateral have borrowed tenfold against it. And with that, they're buying commercial properties all across the United States for multiple billions, and the U.S. government does not like it.
That's really interesting. They're using treasuries as collateral.
So you think that the Fed and maybe the Department of Treasury can come in and say, wait a minute, Wells Fargo, we don't want you to do that because you don't have adequate capital. Oh, no, they're treasury bonds. Collateral's just fine. But it's third world debt by any other measure. We got a systemic LEHMAN moment coming, and I think we're going to see something this year.
Jim, do you think
if you have the ring of fire across the entire American hemisphere, going from all the way Chile through the Andes of Ecuador, just had a giant earthquake. Mexico, San Andreas, all the way up through California. If you have the ring of fire doing earthquakes, I think you're going to have a dollar ring of fire with other earthquakes in the Western banking system, and I think it's going to come this year.
That's a good analogy. Do you think it's going to be one, you think we're going to see a headline that's going to have one bank's name on it, or do you think it's going to have several?
I think initially it'll be one, and in the article for the announcement on the one bank, let's just say, for instance, HSBC goes down in London because of problems that are forced to the table regarding their gold market rigging, which has come out from the Deutsche Bank revelations. Okay, HSBC has an announcement of a failure in progress, imminent, call for aid, etc. And in the third paragraph, it mentions 3 other banks that might fall within a few weeks.
Yeah.
Like a big Italian bank, like maybe Societe Generale of France,
Right.
like RBS, Royal Bank of Scotland and England.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those are three. I mean, just what are the biggest bank in Italy in trouble? I think it's Monte Paschi. Okay, so Paschi in Italy, Societe Generale in France, RBS in England, bang, bang, bang. So it won't just be HSBC or whatever. HSBC is one of the most vulnerable right now. I'm hearing RBS is just days away from failure. So maybe it'll be RBS, and in the fallout, HSBC gets hit. Don't know. The banks don't usually give us their executive summary reports on what to expect next month and what to work hard in overnight to fix, usually with some narcotics money. They don't give us those reports. We're left to just rely on our own sources and our own information, and I do the best I can, and I'm pretty fortunate. I remember, gosh, like it was yesterday, that I got an anonymous phone call from a fellow with a European accent, and it was the voice. It was April of '08.